All right, thanks for joining us today. We'll go ahead and let Coach open with a comment, and then we will get to questions. Go ahead and use the raise your hand function for those. Coach, go ahead.
Well, I was really pleased with the way our team came out and played in the first half. I thought we were really ready to play. We had a great sense of urgency, great energy and enthusiasm, executed fairly well on both sides of the ball in the first half, and I was really pleased with that. I don't think that we sort of maintained that intensity as well in the second half, which is something that we certainly need to work on. We can't let external factors, whether it's a scoreboard or any of that type of stuff, affect our attention to detail, our mental energy, intensity, intelligence that we play with, so that, we can continue to execute. We made more mental errors, had more penalties, things like that in the second half than the first. So we need to put together, 60-minute performance, all the time, regardless of who we're playing. The good news is we did get to play, quite a few players, and that was a good thing. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned at every position on our team in terms of some of the experience gained, whether it's offensive line, defensive backs, it doesn't matter what the position. I think there's a lot of things that we can improve on. So, it's great to, be home again to play a game in Bryant-Denny Stadium with fans. Our fans were great in Atlanta. Hopefully we'll have a very passionate, enthusiastic full house, for this game. And I think it's, really, really important that our players have the right mindset between week one and week two to really address the things that we need to improve on and make significant improvement in our ability to consistently execute between week one and week two. So, Mercer is, they're a little different, kind of offensive team. They had a dominant win last week. They've got a lot of starters returning. They had three really big wins last year. So this is a program that has really, really improved. They run sort of a little bit of a wishbone wing tee type, offense, which is a little bit different from what we normally see, which will be challenging for our defensive players. And these guys have good players relative to their level, and I think the focus for us needs to be on what we do and how we do it, and how we do it regardless of the circumstance and the situation in the game. So that's what we're going to stay focused on. Injury update, Chris Allen does have a foot fracture that will require surgery, so he's most likely out for the year.
Okay, with that, Coach, we'll go ahead and get started with John Zener. John, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Saban, you obviously had Henry and Jamison both playing pretty big roles in the opener. What have they brought to the team, kind of on and off the field, as pretty experienced guys?
Who's he?
Jamison and Henry Toho.
Well, I think both of those guys, played really well in the game. Henry played well. Jamison made some big plays. I mean, there's things that every player can improve on. We didn't do everything perfectly at either one of those positions, but those guys are great competitors, and I'm sure they're anxious to, try to improve the things that they can do better and continue to be able to make some big plays.
We'll go to Cecil Hurt.
Coach, you went with Chris Owens at tackle and Darian Dalcourt at center, and I know there's been a lot of experimentation on the line. How did you feel like Saturday's performance was, both pass protection and run block?
Well, I think both those guys played well in the game. I was encouraged by, both players, and Dalcourt is obviously one of the players of the week, and I thought Chris Owens played really well in the game. Tried to play physical, sustained, finished blocks, didn't really give anything up in pass pro, made some mental errors. People think that, when the quarterback gets pressure that, it's always the offensive line. Sometimes it's relative to the protection that we're in. Sometimes we didn't change the protection correctly. So, we brought pressure on ourselves. So those are all things that we really need to work on and correct. But for the first game out, fundamentally, we can certainly improve up front, everybody in the offensive line, but I thought for the first game with all the new guys, they did a really good job.
Okay, we will go to Michael Casagrande. Michael, go ahead.
Yes. How would you assess the running game, and also with Bryce, his decision making whether to run or stay in the pocket in some of those plays? Could you assess some of that?
Well, first of all, I think we had some good runs where we actually got a hat on a hat, finished blocks, and did a good job. I think the runners were, played physical and played pretty well. We put the ball on the ground, 3 times, which we need to clean up. 2 by the runners, 1 by the quarterback, which really wasn't his fault. But I thought Bryce did a really good job. I thought he played very composed in the game, had lots of poise, made good decisions. But again, for a first game, he's going to be like everybody else. He's going to look at it and say, there's things that I could have done better, and that's going to be the focus for this week.
We'll go to Aaron Settles.
Given your post-game comments about Trey Sanders, it's pretty clear you have a lot of respect for what he's gone through. Just how arduous was that journey to get back to where he is today?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I can't be specific here and give you the extent of all of the injuries that he had, but they were all pretty significant. There was a point in time where I think he questioned, and a lot of us questioned, would he really be able to come back? And because of his perseverance and his resilience to, continue to work the way he did is, what allowed him to come back. And when you see a player go through that kind of adversity, it certainly makes him stronger as a person, but you also have, a great feeling for seeing him be able to come back and do well in the game, score a touchdown, and have some positive plays. And certainly for him, it's got to be a great confidence builder as well.
We'll go to Nick Kelly in Tuscaloosa.
Drew Sanders is a guy who played a variety of positions in high school with quarterback and receiver, and of course on defense too. How did that uniquely prepare him, do you think, to be the linebacker he is now?
Who was he speaking of?
Drew Sanders.
Oh, yeah, Drew has done a really good job for us. He's been a really good special teams player. Now he's going to have the chance to step up and start, although we've kind of rotated the 3 of those guys at outside linebackers always starters. So, we've got a lot of confidence in Drew. He's a good athlete, smart, hard worker, plays with toughness, gives great effort. We'll have to, bring some other guys along with that position as well, but we're really pleased and confident in Drew.
We'll go to Mike Rodak.
Cameron Latu was one of the players of the week this week, and Kendall Randolph got out there quite a bit as a blocker. Just how would you assess that position overall, and what opportunities might remain for Jaleel?
Well, I think first of all, I'd like to evaluate the guys that did play in the game and did a good job in the game. And, Cameron Latu certainly, did a good job. He didn't have a lot of experience. I think, the passes that he caught, he made some really good catches, made a good run after a catch, scored a couple touchdowns, did a good job of executing, played his position fairly well. So this is a real positive for us at that position. We've always liked, using Kendall as a big tight end type of blocker. And I thought he did a really good job in the game, especially the fact that he was coming off of an ankle, sprain. So we'll continue to try to develop players at that position, and hopefully, they'll make the decisions to do the things they need to do to improve, and that will reflect in how much playing time they get.
Go to Charlie Potter.
Hey, Coach. Yeah, just wanted to get your thoughts on the way the secondary played, and specifically Brian Branch. You talked about his versatility in the preseason. How much of a luxury is that to be able to move him around at different spots?
Well, I think that, we played okay in the secondary. We had a lot of respect for their quarterback and their skill guys, and we did a good job of covering. We got a couple bang pass interferences. Brian, had a chance to play the ball once and didn't. The guy made a really good catch, really good throw and catch on him. But, for the most part, there was a lot of adjusting that the players had to do in a game, and I thought they did a really good job of that. I'm talking about the entire back end based on the formations and adjustments that we had to make, and they kept their poise and, played fairly well. So, there's always a lot to improve on, and we'll certainly go to work on that today.
Joseph Goodwin with AL.com. Speak up, Joe. We can't hear you.
You guys hear me now?
Yeah, talk loud.
Nick, I was just wondering, with this being Labor Day, of how many recruits were you going to call today, and what was going to be the message of that?
Well, it's Labor Day, and Monday is, a big game plan day for us, a big day with our team to get started on the next team to make corrections for the last game. So it's not really a recruiting day from that standpoint. It's not an off day for us. It's like any other Monday during the season. So, the big focus today is make corrections from the last game, start the scouting report and the preparation for the next game, and that's pretty much what our plan is on every Monday, and that's not going to be any different today just because it's a holiday.
Okay, we got 3 more. We'll start with Steven.
Coach, just talk about Will Reichert's confidence as a kicker and how contagious that is for the offense.
Well, I think that, the entire team has a lot of confidence in Will. The guy's been outstanding last year and so far this year, and did a really good job kicking off in the game as well as making the field goals. So I think the whole team has a lot of confidence in him. I think, I guess the offensive team does too, but, the offensive team really wants to score touchdowns. So, when they kick a field goal, maybe they're not so happy about it, but they're certainly happy for him.
We'll go to Tony.
Nick, we saw what Jamison Williams can do from a playmaking standpoint with his speed, but how much does he also open up the offense for other players just with that vertical threat he has?
Well, I think that, having the right combination of guys at receiver is really, really important. And, I do think he complements, the other players that we have because he has great vertical speed. And the things that he does well sort of complements some of the things that some of the other guys do well, like, John Mechie and some of the other receivers, Slade, JoJo, some of the other guys that we have. And, we're anxious to have all those guys continue to develop. And I think that, as we grow and learn as an offensive team, maybe we can, feature those guys in the things that they do even more so than we did in the first game.
We'll finish up with Joe Gaither.
Coach, midway through the game, the cameras caught you and Jaleel Billingsley talking on the sidelines, and it seemed like he was very intently listening to what you had to say. His father actually put a tweet out there about enjoying that moment. Can you let us know what the message is that you were trying to convey to him in that moment, and just how you think he responded on Saturday?
Well, we're just always trying to encourage players to do the right things and do the things that they need to do to create value for themselves. And, Jaleel and I have talked, on several occasions because he's certainly a guy that we want to have success for his own benefit individually as well as, for the team. And, sometimes when you get a little external encouragement, it can be a positive thing for you. And I think he, for the first game, I think he did okay when he went out there and played.
Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you.